Hello, and welcome to the community Q&A. If you could quickly let me know if this is working for you, that would be brilliant. For all of you who joined this Hangout and you're on ubuntuonair.com, there's this chat widget below the video where you can just use your favorite nickname, and then you can join the conversation and ask all the questions you might have. When you ask questions, please prefix them with question in capital letters, so they stand out and we can more easily pick them up. Right now I'm still alone. I'm waiting for my co-presenter, Alan Pope, who's going to join me hopefully in just a few minutes. And later on in the show, we're going to have David Barth, who is working with the HTML5 team in Ubuntu, and he has loads of good updates. He's going to let us know what's new with HTML5 and what's new on the phone, the web browser app, how it all works, and you can direct all the questions you might have to him. All right. Alan just let me know that he's fighting with Chrome. Let's see how that works out. Keep your questions coming. As I said, prefix them with question in capital letters. Before we start, Alan is here. How are you doing?
Right, just fighting with my browser, that's all.
Did you manage to fix it?
Yep, it's all good.
Excellent. So I think it's going to take another 10 minutes before David arrives, because he's still on another call. I was just going to talk a bit about the Global Jam, and maybe we could both talk a bit about what we do exactly, apart from sitting here every 2 weeks and babbling a bit.
Okay.
Works for you?
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Global Jam. The Global Jam is happening in around 2 weeks. It's going to be the 12th to the 14th of September, so the entire weekend. And teams around the world get together, people who like Ubuntu, and they do something about Ubuntu. So they do some translations, write some documentation, testing, whatever they like. Get together, have fun, and do something for Ubuntu. I just had a look this morning. Let's see if I can share my screen. Looks like my browser is unhappy as well. If you go to loco.ubuntu.com, you can see the local team portal. That's where all the teams we have around the world, where they store their information. So let's say you're in France or in Germany or, I don't know, in South Africa. You just check out where your team is, what their website is, how to send mail to their mailing list, how to get involved there. And it also lists all the different events. So whatever the teams are doing, they list the events there. So we have a few events already listed for the Global Jam. Among them, one in Mauritius, which is absolutely perfect. So I'll try to get my boss to send me there, so I can, do some live footage and see what I can do to help. So that's just great to see that happening. Tomorrow we're going to have 2 hangouts, one at 10 UTC, the other one at 19 UTC. We're going to talk a bit about how you can set up your own event. It doesn't need to be anything big. We'll just go through what you need to do to organize it. We'll answer all the questions you might have, and might even have some guests who can talk about how they arrange their last events. You're struggling with your cat right now.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. All right. So far, we didn't have Um, any questions?
It's worth noting actually about the global jam that you don't need to wait for someone else to organize it. It doesn't have to be like an Ubuntu member who organizes a global jam. It doesn't have to be a canonical person or a developer. Anyone can schedule a global jam anywhere. All it needs is one or more people to turn up somewhere at a location and just start hacking on things to do with Ubuntu. And if you're not experienced, like seasoned expert in Ubuntu, there's plenty of documentation that you can go through in order to get you up to speed. And we'll have IRC channels where people will be hanging out anyway, so you can always ask questions of people who are experts in those areas.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the things that comes up in discussions all the time. What most people have in mind when they read something about event or venue is that it's something really special, that you have 50 people there and I don't know, everything is arranged and you have catering and whatever else. That's entirely not necessary. Like
No.
when we started the team where I live here in Berlin, we didn't have a venue where we would regularly go. So just for the first um, release party, I just said, you know what, you can just all come to my place and we'll have a beer. And in the end, it turned out it was like 40, 50 people who turned up, but it was brilliant. And that's how easy you can arrange these things. It's just a matter of telling folks where to turn up and right. Okay, so a lot of people seem to like your cat. Just looking at ISE.
All right.
And the other question probably wasn't too serious either. I hope you tried joining in Firefox or Chromium. There's a lot of interest in your
I think that's one of the nice things about Ubuntu is I can have loads of different browsers installed, and if one of them decides to break one day, I'll just use a different one. Just like switch to something else, which is cool.
Yeah, so maybe we can chat a bit about what we are doing every day, apart from just sitting here.
So the main thing that I'm dealing with at the moment is the core apps, and that covers a whole bunch of applications that we thought would be a good idea to have when you launch a phone, including a clock, calendar, weather, calculator, and a news reading application, which we call Shorts, a music app, and a few others as well. And we've got a bunch of people in the community who are developing those apps, and they're working with people who work at Canonical, so designers and also platform people who work at Canonical, and other community people as well. And so we've got this kind of core of people working on the core apps. But then we also get what we affectionately call drive-by contributions. If you imagine someone driving by and throwing fruit at someone, it's a bit like that. It's nicer than a drive-by shooter.
A bit more useful, I hope.
Yeah, exactly. It's drive-by fruiting. I don't know what film that comes from, but it seemed appropriate at the time. Yeah, we get people who want to, in the same way with any open source project, they want to fix a bug, something that annoys them, or they're currently bored and they want to contribute to something. And we've had a few people who've just over the last week or so have said, hey, I'd like to fix this, or I'd like to get involved in that. And we have lists of things they could do. We have personal wish lists of I'd really like to see this on the phone, or I'd really like to see that, but we also have technical lists. We have critical bugs or high priority bugs, and we have features that we'd like to get landed, and we kind of encourage them towards those things. And if they've got enough time and they've got the skills, then they can get started on those. And over the last week, we've had a few new people start contributing, which is pretty amazing. We do put the call out to the community and say, hey, if you'd like to get involved in core apps, here's where we are. We sit in this IRC channel, and here's the mailing list. But I haven't audited where these people come from, but we just suddenly get people appearing in IRC, and they don't necessarily say, hey, I saw your blog post, or I saw this mailing list post and I wanted to contribute. They just like turn up and say, I've made a fix for this, or how do I get started? And it's really nice because they're all really nice people as well. So these are the people that I'm working with, people in the community who are, just keen on making Ubuntu better. And, it's the best job in the world, it really is.
Yeah, I think maybe it would be worth asking them how they found out about the project.
Yeah, I thought we should do like developer profiles on developer.ubuntu.com that highlight a different person each month or something, and just have a short Q&A. There's a magazine in the UK called Linux Voice, and on the back page they have a photo of your desk. Your working area, your working environment, because people always like to see that, because you can see like this direction behind, the rubbish that's behind me, but you can't necessarily see, my working area. And so in this magazine they have like a photo and then a bit of Q&A underneath, and it's the same 5 or 6 questions each time. They're pretty straightforward, but it's a nice way to get an insight into developers. And I think those kind of questions, like how did you get started, what was the first code you committed, what's an outstanding bug that you'd love to see fixed? Those kind of things would be a nice like developer profile for new people to learn about the. I was going to say the old guard of core apps contributors, but they're not exactly old, because we've only been working on this thing for 2 years, so they're not exactly crusty old men with beards and walking sticks. They're all younger than me for a start.
And what's really nice to see also about these pictures, for example, is that they're real people. It's not, I don't know, a special breed of superstars that comes from a different planet or something, but it's just people who put some work into it.
Yeah, and I think there's some value in, for a long while we used to have just IRC communication, and we just talk to people, and you'd see each other as a stream of text in your IRC client, or in the form of merge proposals, and that's how you interact with someone. But we've started having a lot more hangouts and just catching up with people. It's not just about the here's what I did today stuff. There's well, I'm going on holiday, and here's my new PC, and the kind of like normal conversation you have with the person who's sat next to you, in the office, that kind of stuff. And we do a lot of that, and so they're not just people who contribute code; they're friends. So
that's brilliant.
What about you, Daniel? What do you do day to day?
Mostly just sitting here. No. No, I've been doing a lot of different stuff recently. For example, I was a lot more involved with documentation. So I've been looking into app development, documentation, and training materials recently. We're almost done. So for the Global Jam, it's all going to be ready. With materials, you can just prepare yourself, go through them, and then go out to your team and tell them about how app development all works, answer all their questions, or at least most of them. But yeah, that's something I've been working on, and also a lot of coordination when it came to our documentation. We use developer.ubuntu.com for everything that's related to writing apps or writing scopes, so writing content for the phone, a few unrelated bits on the site as well. And we have loads of different requirements. We have people who came up and because all the scope infrastructure changed, they wanted to see how can I port this to that. And then we're obviously working together with partners who are bringing out a phone, so they're interested in up-to-date documentation as well, sometimes translated for their target audiences. So I was involved with that a lot in the last time, and it was great to see because what I like about our team is that in the last time it has become a lot of we were focused a lot on coordination. So we had people who have been using the phone already. We had the engineering team. We had people who have been talking to our partners. We had a community, and we were sort of in the middle of all of this. And we tried to understand like what do people need to get something done, and it's just very rewarding to be working on this and just see how it all starts making sense. Because in the beginning you just have a lot of broken code, and then I don't know, the merge bot's telling you that it can't merge your stuff. That's what we start from, and it's just very nice to see this happening. So when the phones get out in a couple of weeks, that's going to be brilliant to see. And it wouldn't have been possible without all these people who've been there all the time and were as excited about this as we are.
I think that's what you've highlighted there is a difference between the public perception of the community team and what what we actually do. You know, those images that go around on Twitter and Facebook of what my mum thinks I do, what everyone else thinks I do, and there's a lot of probably perception that we spend all day on Hangouts answering questions and replying to threads on Reddit and writing blog posts to clean up mess in the community and stuff like that. But actually there's a whole load of the normal stuff, development work you'd expect, and also helping teams to come together and understand what each other are doing and resolve those kind of misunderstandings internally as well as externally.
Of course. I mean, there's a lot of smart people working on this, and a lot of times you have people who have almost exactly the same idea, so they start working on it until somebody realizes, okay, we're duplicating a lot of work here, and trying to understand what everybody needs and then getting this done in a very short amount of time is what we do a lot.
We've had some questions come in.
Yeah, I noticed. So let's see, which of these are for David and which of them might be for us. There was a question about the music app. Maybe you can take that one.
Yeah, go on then. I haven't been on this machine.
Okay, so Chloe Wolfie Girl asks, where could we see the new designs for music, and is there any plan for the gallery to make it suit the new look and feel and bottom edge?
Sorry, first part was, when are we going to see new designs for the music app? When they're done. So right now the sorry, let me just get rid of my cat. Lovely though he is. So right now the Canonical design team are working on redesign of the music app together with the music app developers. We had a hangout last week where Yoni from the Canonical design team shared his screen and showed off some of the stuff that he's been working on for the music app, redesigns of various screens and flows within the music app. And we sat there with and Andrew during the hangout and went through all those screens, and we all gave feedback. So it was very much a collaborative effort. It wasn't just the design team saying, "Here's the design, and that's what you will use." It was very much a collaborative effort. They're currently working on those this week, and we'll probably publish some more details probably next week or a little bit later. There was a second half to that question, something about the gallery app that I didn't quite hear, so I'm going to get my...
Yep, hang on. And is there any plan for the gallery to make it suit the new look and feel and bottom edge?
To make it do what with the bottom edge?
Suit the look and feel.
Oh, suit the new look and feel. I don't know.
Okay. I think we'll leave it here and just quickly introduce who's with us today. It's David Barth, from the web apps team.
Right.
He's been with Canonical for quite a while already, working on Unity and web stuff all the time. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. Not as long as you.
Almost.
So thanks. Sorry for joining a bit later. Yeah, I'm just in between meetings. I wanted to take the occasion to answer some questions.
Or
Give
maybe
you an update.
maybe you want to give a brief update, just telling us what you and your team have been working on the last time. What's new? Or maybe some people don't even know what HTML5 is,
So
or
probably
how
I
it's important to us.
Yeah, just summarize real quick. So what the team is working on. So essentially, we have three areas. We have everything that relates to the runtime of web apps. So that is whenever you want to use, Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, and so on. So we're providing a runtime so that those web applications can run fine and integrate with our platform. So we started on desktop, and now this is what we're doing on the phone, of course. So typically, we've been working on how those web applications can start sending you notifications, which is a cool new feature we're introducing, in the recent releases. Another part of the work we do in the team is everything related to HTML5 development. So by that we mean when an application developer doesn't want to use all of the QML or C++ APIs, but wants to use HTML5, HTML, CSS plus JavaScript. So here we're providing a toolkit and supporting in the IDE, Qt Creator, Ubuntu SDK. So that has been, a bit less of our focus right now because we're very much focused on providing a very good runtime on the phone, and we'll revisit more of the developers' tools when we get back to finalizing the 14.10 release, right, on the desktop. The desktop being the platform of choice, of course, for phone developers. And the last part of what we're doing also is kind of cool as well, in that we're making sure all of your online identities are well integrated on the desktop, of course, but also on the phone. It's very much our focus, as you can imagine. And so here we've refactored a lot of the Ubuntu system settings plugin we had for online accounts. So typically we had some issues, related to transitions and just the look and feel. So now, if you test like one of the recent images, you should see a much more fluid. We expect user experience, and also generally in the way your accounts are created. So now we're using the new trust session prompt, which provides for a nice way to let the user know that the system is in control, right? It's not like a random applications pretending to steal your credentials for Facebook or Twitter. This is actually Unity driving the scene, right? Driving the show, and that's now just into the image. I think that landed in image 9, 199 or so. So hopefully users rejoice. Any questions or?
So one of the things I think people have asked a lot is what browser or framework are we using on the device for rendering web apps and general browsing? Can you talk a little bit about the browser, the engine, and what we're using there?
Yeah. So that's also an interesting part. So we introduce just in 14.04 the Oxide engine. So this is a Canonicals-led project to embed the WebKit/Blink engine from the Chromium project. And so that has been one of the game changer, I'd say, in how we run web apps. So previously we were using like a rather old branch of WebKit. I'd say it was not necessarily like the latest rendering technologies and so on. And when we switched to Oxide and Blink, I think we provided quite a cool experience to users. So there has been some drawbacks in that initially on the browser we were providing on the desktop. So if you were not running either Firefox or Chromium, we don't have Flash support on the desktop right now. Actually, this has been fixed. We have a branch. It's going to land, probably mid-September in the New York side release. So at last, in your desktop web apps, you will have also Flash support, be able to watch your favorite YouTube, videos, channels, and so on. But that's also the same engine that powers the browser on the phone. So one of the coolest demo I've seen, in one of our recent sprints was the WebGL, fish tank, fully accelerated, running very smoothly on Chris's phone, and that's what we have right now. So this is what also runs the web apps, provided you switch to the 14.04 or newer framework. If you haven't done so, I really encourage you to use the new one.
So that cool. You mentioned WebGL and Flash.
Yep.
Is that the same on a device? If you're running a very new image of Ubuntu on your Nexus 4, for example, will you get WebGL and you'll be able to run?
So you get WebGL, but you don't get Flash, of course, right? That is, Flash on the phone is really not there. I don't think it will ever, right? Here we're using the Flash engine that was made available by Google and Adobe together. So that's really a desktop technology. But however, on the phone, well, you have essentially HTML5 videos for everything related to video rendering. Otherwise, I guess WebGL plus JavaScript have already. This is what people use on mobile devices. Flash is not there.
Okay. Daniel, do we have any questions from the?
Yeah, it sounds like we have a couple.
I think Daniel may have frozen.
Me?
No, you haven't. I thought you had. You just
okay.
Contemplative.
Right. Okay.
So maybe I see the question. So HTML5, I meant both the markup language and also the accompanying technologies, right? That is, well, CSS for the X representation aspects, but also JavaScript and HTML5 elements like the everything related to video or media rendering or other things. So it's really now more than just the markup language. So then we go, with questions in order, I guess.
If you, Daniel will pick them out and then.
Go ahead.
Before you join. So there was one. Anything exciting coming to the HTML5 and JavaScript APIs for Ubuntu devices?
Few runtime application lifecycle support, a couple of new things. Depending on when you join the HTML5 API story, we have download manager support. Notifications and media manager will be next because obviously notifications we've started integrating. And media manager, but we're not there yet, right? So please bear with us as we try to solidify the runtime for the phone. And that's going to be just next. I'd say September is when we we start putting more APIs up there.
I've got a question for you. A lot of talk has been around devices shipping and timelines and manufacturer stuff, but you and everyone else I talk to are all talking way beyond that and into more things being developed over the next month or so, and that we're not stopping, we're continuing. Do you have how far does your project plan stretch for stuff relating to HTML5 and
oh wow, the sky is the limit here. Seriously, we still have this 3 months and 6 month cycle mechanism in mind. So for the next 3 months, we're going to add some more APIs, right? That's going to be most of our focus, and so that we can land a new iteration of the developer environment on the desktop. And then I'd say probably next semester, that is beginning of 2015, we'll do a new round of repolishing the runtime itself, the development environment, and the APIs. Actually, we're currently investigating how more we can leverage the code of our runtime, in our system. So just reminding everyone that so we do have like plain HTML5 technologies connected to W3C API. So that's what the WebKit / Oxide engine gives us. Then we do have a set of Ubuntu platform-specific APIs, which are tied directly to our QML implementation. And then we have all of the Cordova extra APIs, which do complement all of that. And so we've been experimenting with, trying to bring even more of those like three galaxies together. So that's something that should come. So I can't say exactly when, but if you look for Zephyr's branches and so on, yeah, he's working hard on that.
So basically, you're saying you're not finished yet.
Oh, no, but what we're trying to do is also make like for a smooth transition, right? Because, well, we're providing APIs, so we don't want to like spill the beans every 3 months or so. So gradually we're moving the implementation elements, the details, while still providing the APIs as we go. But in the end, what we're trying hard to do is, just one container, just one environment, just like make for a very simple story for developers who just want to pick HTML5 and get started with it. I think we did a good job already when we did the what was it, the Ubuntu App Tour, the contest beginning of this year.
App Showdown.
Yeah, right. Sorry, App Showdown. But we're trying to go one step further in consolidating all our containers.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's HTML5. Questions, others?
There was another one. Do Cordova and Oxide support the grid unit?
No, so it's a fully loaded question because there are one side of the web who say grid units, we already have all of the CSS elements, so we don't need it. We just make a responsive UI. And I'm on the other side of the web who says, even so, there should be a way for HTML5 developers to have like grid units-like elements so that their apps look like the native ones, like the QML ones, rather. The short answer is no, we don't. We just have a formula that people can use, and I don't think we'll end up having like an API to provide grid units. Mostly a function, say, well, here's the factor you need to apply, and then you get like the same layout. If you have questions or you'd like to know what type of factor to apply, shoot us a ping on Ash Web Apps, and we have Daker and Uni generally, who can help there. How did I do with this one?
Good. Let me see. Very important question here. Is there coming WhatsApp app written in HTML5 so we can use it on the desktop and the phone simultaneously?
WhatsApp, you mean?
Yes. That was the question.
I don't know. I know this is a very popular application, but at least we're not, providing anything special so far. Yeah, it's on our radar, but yeah, there's not yet. Sorry, no good answer.
There's a few apps that fall into that category.
Yeah.
Most wanted application that we're kind of stuck on some of them in that the owner of the property, whichever property it is, has great say in what applications can be developed and limitations and restrictions on which applications can be developed on which platforms. And so, we're somewhat at the behest of those upstreams, if you like. But obviously, we need to get loads of people going out and buying loads of Ubuntu phones.
Yeah.
So ridiculously popular, and everyone will want.
Right. One thing we can say is that we'd be very happy to work, with everyone to make sure that all of the best applications are on Ubuntu, and we're actually, doing that work. But WhatsApp specifically, nope.
So Telegram works.
Yeah. It's one of those messaging apps as well.
All right.
So just get all of your friends to switch away from WhatsApp.
No problem. No problem.
Problem solved.
Okay, we have a lot of unrelated questions we can probably answer when.
Yeah, I have another meeting to join about 10,
Yeah,
10
exactly.
15, so that's...
Let me see. Here's a more general question about apps. Maybe you can, or we can, you can all talk about it. Do you think that Ubuntu Touch lack of popular apps that would be found on the Apple Google App Store will hurt the commercial launch of the operating system? How do we all feel about that one?
No, who wants to answer? You want my opinion there, or?
I think, Alan, you and I talked about this the last time already, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what I said last time, but I would probably answer the same way this time if I could remember. No, I don't think so. I think, you know, any platform has a bootstrapping problem, and you know, we're not alone in that. You know, we've seen, for example, the reports of Tizen's early demise because, you know, it's or postponement, whatever you want to call it, because it doesn't have sufficient apps. And, you know, there are other platforms that are doing different things. Sailfish have got Yola have got an Android compatibility layer on their phone. They're doing things slightly differently there, and Mozilla are depending heavily on the web for their story. So, you know, everyone has this problem, you know, and I don't think for our very first device it's a problem. I think if you came back to me in 3 years' time and said, you still don't have WhatsApp, what's going on? Then I'd think, yeah, probably we have a problem. But for our very first device, no, I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, I think, well, if I can just, like, you know, add my take on that, I think we're in a unique position because the Ubuntu project, and, you know, thanks in particular to Canonical support and work with manufacturers, or provides us with the opportunity to provide a very good phone. We have the experience of working with manufacturers, you know, hardware manufacturers. So, and that's a you know, an asset in trying to win the war of the third operating system, you know, mobile operating system. Plus, I think with the web applications we're providing, and, you know, we're working hard to make sure that, you know, the best ones are there, they're working well, and so on. We also provide enough of this initial, you know, enablement layer for people to feel confident that they can use this phone every day, that they can do what they want with this phone every day. They can, like, receive emails, they can, like, chat with friends, they can, like, find their way on a map, and that's what counts, you know, really. So yeah, maybe you won't have, like, all of the same applications, you know, as your other friends on other platforms, but you'll get different ones, you know, cooler ones maybe in some cases, and then. But what counts is if you can do, you know, the daily operations on this phone, and I think we're providing some good value here. That's what we're in for.
Yeah, I would agree with what all of you said, and would probably add that there's going to be updates. There's going to be new apps coming in, even if they're not there on the first day, and there's also going to be new functionality, bug fixes, and everything. But apart from all of this, there's a lot more that is, in my mind, going to attract app developers if we're successful. Like, if they feel like they're part of a marketplace that makes sense for them. If they're in a place where they can talk to the web developers, have their say, feel like they're included, that's something very unique I feel we are bringing to the table, and that's also going to change the perception, and that's also something that's going to happen over time. So not on day one of the launch, but later on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. We got any more questions for David, or do you need to drop off, David?
Yeah, I actually need to attend one of our Oxide meetings, so you don't want me to miss this one.
Well, thanks for joining us,
But
David.
yeah, it's been a pleasure chatting with you guys, online and answering questions. See you next.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot.
Cheers,
Bye.
David. Take care.
All right, on to all these other questions. Okay, yesterday German news portals have announced a China OS. The government in China has this been commissioned and it will bring many new features. Is it based on Ubuntu and also be available for mobile devices? Can you confirm that? Or do you know something about this project or are you working on it? The only thing I know about is Ubuntu Chilin, which has been around for at least 2 years already, but probably more. And Canonical has been working very closely with NUBT in China and other companies around it, and it is based on Ubuntu. And I can't quite remember the numbers, but there were millions and millions of downloads of it, and it's used very, very heavily. What the government of China and the companies there like a lot about Ubuntu is that it's open and it's something they can easily work with, and they add a lot of additional useful functionality to Jilin, and that's why it's used very heavily over there. Also available for mobile devices. That's the first time I hear anything about this. I don't know. Probably we should bring somebody on the Hangout who knows more. But right now, I don't think so.
Yeah, it all sounds very very vague from the news articles that I've seen from China. So I think we'll have to wait and see.
Interesting. Here's a question. What would make Ubuntu Touch feel successful to you? Is it a failure to you if it doesn't ship as many phones on Windows or dare say Android? Or is it successful as soon as you can do everything you could do on Android on Ubuntu Touch? The moment I had a phone in my hand with which I could do phone calls and it had Ubuntu on it, at that moment I thought, wow, this is a huge success already. I never imagined that this would happen, especially not in the days when I started my journey with Ubuntu. So I think that's fantastic that we have two manufacturers who want to have Ubuntu phones on the market. I think that's fantastic as well. And as you heard earlier, there's so many plans we have for making things even better. Like, that all to me says success already. But of course, we'll also have to wait for the feedback from our users. That's going to be important as well. How about you?
I think it's degrees of success, really, because when I first started at Canonical a couple of years ago, nearly 3 years ago, we were just starting out on this road.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the road started before I came into the company, but we just started on this road, and I remember when we put together a press release and a demo, and we showed it off at various trade shows, and I was kind of like early on, I would have been surprised that I could say in 2 years' time I'm actually holding a device, and when I go out of the house, this is the thing that's in my pocket, and it runs Ubuntu, and that is a success right there. The fact that we've got a device that people are developing apps for, that auto updates over the air, that I can SSH into, that I can use as an ARM build machine. All of these are successes, along the way towards the eventual global world domination at the very, very far end, right? But I don't see it as being success or failure as binary. Just you have to get certain market share, or you have to be more than one of the competitors, or all of these are little successes along the way. And yeah, if we do well with with Ubuntu phone, then that's another success along the path.
Easier. All right. Another question. Enshil asks, what is Ubuntu's relationship with GitHub? Are Ubuntu Touch apps on GitHub, etc.? It looks like somebody answered this question already. There's a number of projects hosted on GitHub.
Yeah.
If you like using that.
We have no, like, for the platform, we use Launchpad and Bazaar, very heavily. But for apps, app developers can use whatever they like. If they want to use GitHub, CBS, SVN, Bitbucket, wherever you want to put your code, it's your code. What revision system you use is entirely up to you. We frankly don't care. And you can then build a click package from your code and stick that in the store, and there is no dependency on Bazaar or Git or anything. That's we try and stay out of that one for app developers. That's entirely your domain. And yeah, so there's an ebook reader, for example, Beru, and I've filed issues on GitHub. I'm not going to file bugs in Launchpad because that's not where the code is. So the ebook reader Beru that's in the store is on GitHub. So that's where I go to file my bugs, and that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, agreed. Like we all know that Git and GitHub are very, very popular, and so every now and then we have people asking us, like, why don't you switch to GitHub? And the reason is that a lot of Ubuntu's processes are very deeply ingrained into Launchpad. So whenever somebody uploads a package, it's built in Launchpad. You have build logs, you have everything there. You can translate all the different packages in all the different releases of Ubuntu, and that's something we couldn't very easily just have somehow working on GitHub or any other place. So that's the primary reason why Launchpad is there and why it's important to us and why it suits most of our development needs very, very well.
I wouldn't doubt in the future, at some point, Launchpad would support Git, and you'd be able to push your local Git repositories to Launchpad. I'm sure that would happen at some point in the future. But right now, with the focus that we have and the amount of work we have to do on this, this phone thing we're working on, it's difficult to justify breaking Launchpad to do that, and the amount of development time to do that. It's everything works right now, for better or worse, and whether you like or hate Bazaar is largely irrelevant because right now it works. So yeah, I can't see us switching Launchpad to Git, let alone moving to GitHub anytime soon. But I'm sure we could, and I'm sure we probably would in the future.
Yep, that makes sense.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, there were a couple more questions I can forward to David Barth, and we can, I don't know, where do we post the answers then?
We can always revisit them next time.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so which other questions do we have in the meantime? Something about online accounts, native web apps, again, China OS. Will we see a greater convergence between the mobile phone with the desktop, similar to what KDE are working on with KDE Connect? I can't quite comment on KDE Connect because I don't know it, but yeah, we are.
Connect, the thing that lets you, for example, send text messages from your desktop that go out through your phone.
I don't know.
I have a feeling it is, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, that is wrong. I just Googled it.
Okay, brilliant.
It's a project that lets you get notifications on your desktop computer from your phone, that kind of thing. I would expect that kind of functionality may well happen once we get convergence, which is a bit further down the line. That's not done yet, and our target is by 1604 LTS to have the converged story fully fleshed out and done. That's the current plan, anyway.
Maybe just quickly to clarify what we mean with convergence there. It's basically that the same code is running on the phone, on the desktop, the laptop, TV, whatever you might have. We'll just have to maintain one code base.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the bits that you have on your current desktop already are the same stuff that is running on the phone, like the indicators, for example, and a few other bits and bobs, but with Mir being one big dependency of the phone, that's going to take a bit longer to get everything else working on the desktop, but you can already try it out. So if you're on 14.10, you can just install the Unity 8 desktop session Mir or something, it's called, or we have an ISO which you can download and then just install, or I don't know if you can run it in the VM.
You can run it, I believe you can run it in VMware, but not in VirtualBox.
Oh, okay.
And you can also run it on Intel-based devices.
Brilliant. All right. So that's it. Convergence. What else do we have? Yeah, there was something else about root units again. Will AppArmor be employed as part of the security model on Ubuntu Touch? Yes. Yes. And it's been working really, really well for us. And that's also what gives us the chance to have unreviewed code in apps on the phone. So one of the big blockers for us to get more software into Ubuntu was that we wanted to review the code, because we could never be quite sure that somebody wouldn't slip some malicious code into Ubuntu. But on the phone we can have all these apps running because they run confined. They can, the app authors, they can request some additional security policy groups, but and then also the phone is going to ask you, can I do this, can I do that, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So yeah, a good example of that is when you, so I use the Twitter web app, and sometimes I want to share a photo on Twitter, so I can, within the Twitter web app, press the little camera button, and it then, via Content Hub, allows me to pick photos from my gallery that I then share on Twitter. But the phone won't let the Twitter web app get at my entire gallery, and I don't have to pre-authorize the Twitter web app to get at all my gallery. At the point when I want to share a photo, I explicitly tell it which photo I want to share, and it only has access to that photo. So it can't just suck all of my photos out of the gallery app. In the same way that if I'm sharing contact details with an app, I explicitly choose which contacts I want to share. It doesn't get free reign. It's not like some of the Wild West other platforms out there which kind of maybe give excessive rights to applications. We're starting from a base of, near zero, and you have to build up your authorization.
And I can imagine that a lot of people are going to appreciate it, not necessarily having to share all their cat pictures.
Me and my cat pictures.
Exactly. Okay. Could you talk about any agreements you have with other companies and Ubuntu Touch? We know VLC is coming, but any updates? And are there any new agreements you can talk about?
No, in short. Not because there aren't any, but two other reasons. It's not our part of the company that deal with commercial arrangements. It's a separate part of the company that deal with all the commercial agreements with third parties, and so they may well be negotiating stuff that we don't know about. And the second part of that is, there may be commercially sensitive things that we couldn't talk about. But the good news is I don't know about them, so I can't reveal anything because I don't know. So I'm safe in that school.
Yeah, same here. And I didn't even know about VLC. What's up with VLC?
I think there was a discussion at one point where one of the VLC developers said they were interested in seeing VLC run, and I think they dropped by the Ubuntu IRC channel. I think they had a discussion with Thomas Voss and a few others about how to go about porting. Because obviously with VLC, it runs on X-based platforms, but the phone runs Mir, so there was some work required there. I don't know where that got to.
Okay, let me see. Grid units once more. App armor.
There's two more questions down the bottom.
Oh yeah, that's right. How and why is Ubuntu and Ubuntu Touch so awesome?
Well, it's for all the bits we create is free software, so I like that bit. I like the fact that you can follow an RSS feed of commits on Unity 8 in Launchpad, or you can follow the commits that are made to individual applications like the camera or the gallery or something like that, and you can see the changes and take that code and remix it and do what you want with it. I like that part. I like the fact that we're not just throwing a release out there on a particular date and then you get to look at it. You get to see the sausages being made all the way through the process. And that's good and bad. It means that people post screenshots of Ubuntu phones and say this is the new way of something. And then 3 days later our design team have reviewed that and actually that's not the way it's going to be. It's going to be different. And so it's good and bad. We don't get quite the same big reveal that Apple do with iOS, but equally we don't do the throwing it over the wall that Google do with Android. So I quite like the development process. So for me that's why it's one of the reasons.
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about stuff that makes Ubuntu and Ubuntu Touch, Ubuntu for devices important to us earlier, like the security model and lots of other things. But I think I would agree with Alan that
Josh has mentioned as well that you can join the mailing list, the Ubuntu phone mailing list, and discuss these things directly with the developers, the people who are actually making this stuff, and sit there and chat with them on IRC in real time, and slow down the development of Ubuntu by having lengthy, bike shedding discussions with them on mailing lists and IRC channels. But that's a good thing.
Brilliant. Yeah, exactly that, and also the online summit. Online summit is coming up. November 12th to 14th.
12th to 14th. Yep.
That's my answer now to everything. Like
everything is 12th to the 14th.
Exactly. Global Jam, online summit. Right. So yeah, that's another event where you can bring all the requests you have, ideas you have, and code you have, and have a chat with all the experts, which is just brilliant and very unique. It's very easy to stand behind all of this.
Cool. I think that was our last question, was it not?
Yeah, there was another one about smashing together Ubuntu and GNOME, but I think that's more a question for the Ubuntu desktop people, because there is a lot of GNOME in the Ubuntu desktop already. Okay. Yeah. Reminders for stuff. There's the standing request from Jose that you have a look at the Twitter, YouTube, and Google Plus accounts of Ubuntu on Air, because that's where you find out which sessions are happening next, what's going on, and where you can also see all the old shows. There's the hangout about Ubuntu Global Jam, how you can participate and get your teams up and running tomorrow at 10 UTC and 19 UTC. Anything else? Anything else that people know?
There's the regular engineering hangout on every other Wednesday, Engineering Live, which has updates from various people around the project, so you can learn more about what people have been working on for the last week and what they're going to be working on in the coming weeks as well. So it's a good way to get the inside track on what's going on in one handy bite-sized 1 hour chunk.
Excellent. And for those of you who have more questions about web apps, HTML5 and how it all fits together in Ubuntu, you can join the IRC channel called Ubuntu-Web Apps, also on Freenode, same IRC network, and just ask all your questions there because that's where all the experts hang out.
Cool.
So thanks a lot of everyone for joining, for bringing your questions. I hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Next week, it's probably going to be Michael Hall and Nicholas Gags. All right.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.